The Lord has made, we'll rejoice and we'll be glad in it. How's that?
Amen.
Amen.
At least that's what I'm going to do.
Right. That's what we all need to do.
A lot of stuff has happened since the mic's not on, David. Is it on now? Anyways, a lot has happened since we've been here last week. Last week in St. Paul, Minnesota, a bunch of rioting idiots stormed a church during their services because they wanted to, I guess. Pretty crazy what happens. 3 of the leaders of that group are under federal arrest and facing 10 years in prison. Kind of crazy. Just a couple days ago in Mount Clemens, a homeless lady froze. Not sure about all the circumstances around how that happened. There's different news reports about it, but nonetheless, she was behind a dumpster, and the dumpster company, when they were emptying the dumpster, found her body frozen. So pray for the people that have to endure this weather, and it's not an easy situation. Also, continue to pray for Jack and Jennifer. Jack had a court hearing this week regarding extradition to Kentucky, and Kentucky has 30 days to pick him up, and if they don't, then he won't be extradited at this point, but still kind of a crazy situation for their family, putting their whole family in turmoil. Not a point of gossip, but just a point to pray for them. And then yesterday, in Minnesota also, a protester that had a 9mm gun got killed again, another person. I mean, I don't understand how these people think that you can confront federal law enforcement officers and think it's okay. I mean, you can protest. We have the right to peaceful protest, but this guy was armed with a 9mm gun, and I mean, you know, they have that saying, F-A-F-O, fool around and you find out. And, you know, this guy was only 37 years old. And some of these people are paid protesters. It's just kind of crazy how this world seems like it's going in reverse. Also, this week we didn't celebrate, but we marked the passage of Roe versus Wade. Like I said, this is Sanctity of Life month. I'm probably not going to preach a Sanctity of Life message this year. I have in all years past. But in 1973, Roe versus Wade was passed by the Supreme Court, legalizing abortion. And then 49 years later, in June of 22, the Dobbs decision reversed that. The court admitted that they got the whole issue wrong, and it would be a states' right issue instead, so each state can determine what happens with the sanctity of life and life itself, abortion. Our state, we approved Proposition 3 a couple years ago, and so abortion in Michigan is legal from the day of conception through all 9 months of pregnancy. So you can kill a 9-month-old baby, or you can deliver a 9-month-old baby. It just doesn't matter. It's not a baby because it's not born, according to pro-abortion people, which is pretty sad that they would allow such things. But thanks to our radical governor and other people in power, and the voters actually voted this constitutional amendment into law. And so here we are. 11 states now allow for euthanasia. Euthanasia is doctor-assisted suicide, essentially. And another horrific thing. I believe in the sanctity of life from the moment of conception, and it should be protected from the moment of conception through natural passing, natural death. I don't think people should be put down like dogs, but apparently the governor of Illinois disagrees with me because he just signed recently legislation in Illinois that you can put down people in Illinois, and now 11 states allow for that. I'm a board member, just full disclosure, I'm a board member for Right to Life of Warren Centerline. And we're going to have a dinner on February 6th. It's a Friday. There's a cost to that. It's $55 a ticket for dinner. But it's a legislative agenda in terms of what's going on with life in Michigan. And the director of the Right to Life of Michigan, the legislative director, she's going to address us at dinner about the different legislative issues in our state regarding abortion. Right to Life stands against abortion. We stand against euthanasia and any other forms of taking life from the day of conception through your natural day of passing. So if you got $55, you got time to save up. You could join us for dinner. You know, a lot of people, a couple people, I shouldn't say a lot, but a few people object to some of the things I post on my own Facebook page. If you want to know some of the things that I think about a lot of things, but you know, I'm not afraid to say I support our government. I support our military. I support law enforcement. I support, I'm pro-gun. I'm pro-life. I'm absolutely pro-Christian. And I believe that there's only two genders because in Genesis 1:27, it said God made them male and female. He didn't say there's 87 or 67 flavors or varieties. He said there's male and female, so there's only two genders. And I support all lives because all lives matter. So if you're racist and you want to think that only certain lives matter, all lives matter. If you're a human being, you're a life and your life matters. It doesn't matter your skin color, the melanin in your skin. Every single life matters to God. So I believe all lives matter. So if you think otherwise, you probably need to think about your thinking a little bit. That might offend some people, but that's okay. Jesus said that this word of his would be an offense to many. That's just the way it is. A lot of people are offended, and we have people that don't like what we preach. That's okay. I heard they make TikToks out of some of my sermons too. They take things out of context and say this guy's a Nazi, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Actually, my grandparents, they escaped Poland because their village and their home was bombed by Nazi Germany. It wasn't quite Nazi Germany yet because Hitler created the Nazis, but the Germans had Nazi tendencies in World War I, and they bombed Poland to take over Poland. And my grandparents' village and home was destroyed by the Germans, who later became the Nazis. Same tactics, but just a little bit different methodology. But my grandparents came on a boat from Europe. They came to Ellis Island. They were here legally because the United States government deemed them DPs. And when my grandfather went through Ellis Island, there used to be a lot of Polish jokes about making fun of Polish people. So if you think your ethnicity is the only ethnicity that got the brunt of that, that's not true, because when my grandfather came through Ellis Island, they told him that his papers were stamped DP, that it meant a dumb Polak instead of displaced person. He was a displaced person because of World War I. So we've been hating on people for a long time, and stop. It needs to stop. There's only one race, the human race. But there was an older man here a couple of weeks ago that told me that there's two races. So he broadened my thinking, and then he gave me a quote from J. Vernon McGee, which is this guy that I initially didn't think too much of, but I came to like J. Vernon McGee a lot. J. Vernon McGee's been dead for years and years and years, but his sermons are still on TV. He's got this little southern twang. He's from California, which that doesn't fit either, but he's got a very distinct southern voice and a very distinct voice. But he said there's two races, those racing to heaven and those racing to hell. And he said most of them are going to hell. And that fits in exactly with Matthew chapter 7, where it says, wide is the way, narrow is the path, few enter in.
Yep.
So if few enter in, the reverse of that is true. That means most won't. See, a lot of people come to church, and a lot of people come to God, and a lot of people engage and have a mindset that they know Jesus, but they don't have a relationship with Jesus. Only those people who have a relationship are the ones who are truly saved. And so, you need to check yourselves in terms of, are you the race that's racing to heaven or the ones that are racing to hell? You're going one place or the other. You will end up at one place or the other. But we also know from the scriptures, that you can be saved no matter what you've done in your past. God is a God of mercy. Salvation is a free gift. If you read in Ephesians chapter 2, I'm not preaching on that this morning, but I just thought I'd mention it. And then in 1 John, he said that he's faithful to forgive all sins if we come to him. So, all good things. This is my third message from the book of Acts this morning. And I've been preaching on the book of Acts for the last couple weeks. This is week number 3. We're going to start looking at the book of Acts chapter 1, verse 9.